I'm going to start the recording. All right. So whoever is on the call, thank you all for joining. So my name is Francis Kurpasheral. I'm the organizer of Silicon Valley Product Management. As you guys know, we are all a bunch of product managers and folks who want to be product managers. This group has been going strong for the past 8-9 years. I started it because I wanted to create a forum for product managers to converse. Initially, we had a few in-person meetups. We had a fairly good, strong showings at different places. I kind of slowed down the last couple of years, but now that we are all online, and given the situation how things are going, so I think it's time to revive it. Abhijit Kadilkar, is an investor in the Bay Area. He has written a book called Unlock, and it's a great opportunity for us to learn from him about what ticks in the Bay Area, in the Silicon Valley, and in the product ecosystem as such, and also how we can improve our LinkedIn profile. So I let Abhijit take it from here, and welcome Abhijit to the forum, and enlighten us with how we can improve our LinkedIn profiles, and hopefully we'll all get to become Jeff Bezos one day. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Francis, for the opportunity. Jeff and PT, it's great to meet you guys. And I'm sure as we sort of go through this, more folks will join us. So thank you, Francis, for the opportunity. You guys are really building a really strong community of product managers here. I was looking up online, and you got people from varying sort of companies and interests who are sort of coming together to discuss product management practices and techniques. That's the type of information you need to become successful, because you do need to sort of come together as a community to share knowledge. And once that happens, things become very, useful. So thank you for putting this together. You mentioned enlightenment. Well, I can definitely promise entertainment. Enlightenment is optional. So let me share a couple of things. One is a little intro about myself. So I've been a product person and a management consultant for most of my life. I used to be a management consultant with Deloitte Consulting for many years. Then I was with Cognizant. Recently, I was with Cisco, doing product management for part of their portfolio. And mid last year, I saw an opportunity in customer experience, and so basically decided to go entrepreneurial, and so started my own company where we are serving customers with product and services. And so that's Enterprise CX. And now, over the last 10 years, my passion has been career leadership. So I've mentored and coached many people here in Silicon Valley, as well as beyond Silicon Valley. And so based on those 10 years, I've written a book called Unlock. Unlock with an exclamation. You can find it on Amazon. It was just released this Sunday. So I'll talk about it a little bit later, but first let's get into the topic at hand, right? Which is LinkedIn. And so let me share a slide deck. And when it comes up, please let me know if you can see my screen. Just give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So thank you again, Silicon Valley product managers. You guys are the leaders. Oh, virtual thumbs up. I love that. I love how Zoom and all of these softwares have really started to make a dent in terms of how they bring in more interactivity. Just yesterday, was it today or yesterday? Just today, I saw that Microsoft Teams rolled out a feature called Together. So a lot of times the video, because of video conferencing, we have fatigue. It's sort of called colloquially as Zoom fatigue. And Microsoft has built a new feature in their team software to do a Together app. So everybody looks like they're together in one space. So it's kind of cool. I like it. Anyways, all right, LinkedIn. LinkedIn concepts and your LinkedIn profile, right? So I have a ton of information, okay? And we have limited time. So what I'd love to do is go through this as much as I can. I'll literally breeze through it. Francis, feel free to record if that's something you want to do. What I'd love to do is then pause at about the sort of a 35 minute mark. And then I'd love to do some Q&A and basically get your questions and hopefully answer them. We'll see. Okay. All right. So question, how long have you been on LinkedIn? Has it been just a few years, been there forever? Like just give me a little bit of an idea.
So I'll go first. I've been on LinkedIn since 2005, I believe.
Very cool. You're a veteran. Okay, anyone else? You guys want to type your answers up in the chat box? I'm going to go on chat.
LinkedIn since last year, so I'm fairly new to it, but I'm familiar with the product.
Okay, very cool. Thank you. All right, anybody else? How long have you been using LinkedIn?
So Albert Kim says on the chat he's been on LinkedIn since 2006.
Oh, very cool. You guys are veterans.
And Jeff about 10 years. So yeah.
Jeff about 10 years. Very cool. All right. Yeah, I mean, you guys are veterans, so I'm sure you guys know a ton of things in LinkedIn. So hopefully I can add a little bit of value to your information and knowledge. Okay, so before I get into sort of what do we do with LinkedIn, I want to get into the why, because the why is important. Because if the why is not strong enough, then what's the point of learning new things on LinkedIn, right? So let's talk about why you should be investing your time on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn definitely every day, but I would say multiple times a day because I actually conduct a lot of my business on LinkedIn. The reason is you get to play in the largest professional database on the planet. It's, you know, more than 575 million people. So second is you manage all of your business contacts, your professional contacts, your network in one place. You get to build your brand, your personal brand. You can demonstrate your expertise, your leadership. You can actually do that on LinkedIn by sharing information, and you can. We'll talk a little bit about that. It helps you rank on Google. So as you know, LinkedIn is search engine optimized, which means that when people type in your name, your LinkedIn page shows up, right? So LinkedIn is helping you rank on Google. And so take advantage of this by building a really robust LinkedIn profile, right? I also like to use LinkedIn as a research tool. So LinkedIn has a ton of ways to research companies, individuals, and you can actually use multiple fields to, research companies. So this is a really good research tool as well. And then you can follow companies, people, topics. You can follow hashtags. And that's how you can stay current on the trends in the industry. You can start to see what kind of trends are going on. What are people, using, or what are people talking about? And that's a really good advantage of being on LinkedIn. Another one is acquire new skills. So LinkedIn acquired a platform a couple of years back called Lynda, and it's a way they've actually integrated Lynda into LinkedIn.com, and it's a really good training portal. I've used many of their trainings, and it's really good for at least it's a good refresher. And then of course jobs. You can apply for jobs using a robust job board. I like the LinkedIn job board. That's what I share. Like since I'm a coach, I do talk to a lot of people about their job search, and LinkedIn is by far the place where you should look for a job. I wouldn't necessarily say you should apply using LinkedIn, but definitely look on LinkedIn and maybe then use your LinkedIn network to connect with those companies. Another one is getting exposure to hiring managers and recruiters. 87% of recruiters use LinkedIn to either find candidates or vet candidates. So unless you're targeting the 13% of recruiters, you should definitely be on LinkedIn. And then you get social proof for your expertise. So you can but you can ask people for their recommendations, and people can endorse you for certain skills. And that's a lot of really good social proof that you can collect just being on LinkedIn, right? And then making connections. You can build your network, especially now that we are all working fairly remotely, it makes a ton of sense for us to build out our LinkedIn network. It's okay to do some virtual hellos and get to know some people so that you can build your network even if you're remote. Another one is use LinkedIn groups, and what better example than this group right here. And so the Silicon Valley Product Managers Group, you guys are doing a great job building your community, right? So use this network so that you can get to know other people, engage in discussions, and so build out your area and domain using groups. You can also do a lot of business development. I know a lot of people who are pitching, looking for investment or making investments. So there's a lot of business activity that goes on in LinkedIn. And the point is that if you're not on LinkedIn, you do not exist professionally, right? So this is a very, very important area for us to invest our time on. Okay, so I don't know if you know Greg, but imagine Greg is your neighbor. And so Greg's a super smart guy. He's fun to hang out with. He has some really strong opinions, which is good. Here's Greg's idea of his LinkedIn profile. He takes his existing resume, he edits it and touches it up a little bit. Then he takes chunks of his resume and puts it on LinkedIn, puts on a picture and uses a standard background, and then he's done, right? No, don't do that. Don't be Greg. The point is, let's go about your LinkedIn the right way. But before we get into your LinkedIn profile, what is your primary objective on LinkedIn as of now? You can either type your answer in the chat in Zoom, or you can unmute and speak as well. Are you on LinkedIn to do job search? Are you looking for establishing a network? Are you trying to build a brand? Are you just like hanging out?
Yeah, for me, Abhijit, it's primarily to build a professional brand. I want to be known in this space. So that's the reason why I am on LinkedIn and why I have this group as well going.
Absolutely. Okay. Jeff says, find a job. Others? Bueller. If you guys want to unmute, or if you want to type in your answer in the chat box here in Zoom. Okay, we'll go with, oh, there you go, PT. We can connect with professionals, learn from the community, share information. Awesome. Okay, so whatever your objective is, whether it's career growth or business development or building your brand or you're connecting with people, you should work with LinkedIn's invisible funnel, okay? And then let me talk a little bit about what this is, because this is something that's not usually talked about. We look at LinkedIn, we get onto linkedin.com, we do some searches, we look at people, what they're doing, look at our feed, what have you. That's kind of how we use LinkedIn, or at least most people use LinkedIn. So let's talk about the invisible funnel that exists in LinkedIn, okay? So when you're trying to connect, you need to look at who is your target. If you're trying to connect with other people who are smart, who are important, and who may help you in your career, those are your targets. Maybe those are executives, or maybe those are hiring managers or recruiters or stakeholders, or there may be your potential customers, right? That's your target. So identify who your target is. And think about what your target is doing on LinkedIn. For example, if your target is finding a job and your target is recruiters, right? These are your target audience, recruiters and hiring managers. They are on LinkedIn. They are searching for candidates. They are searching for leaders. They're searching for solutions. They're searching for problem solvers, right? Like you, they are also searching on LinkedIn. So if they are searching, then there are three things that a target does on LinkedIn, right? So let's say if I'm a recruiter, for example, right? Then I will take these three steps to find something or someone on LinkedIn. I want to be aware of that person, i.e., I'm going to review profiles. So for that, I'm going to search. Let's say I want to find product manager. I'm going to search product manager for, let's say, fintech or whatever the domain or technology you are working on, right? So I will say search, and then I'll review profiles. The search returns me a list. And then as a recruiter, what I do is I review profiles. And then within that, I'm browsing the LinkedIn feed or search results. I'm reviewing the headline. I'm looking at the picture, looking at the cover, right? So I'm looking at those things. So that's awareness. I become aware of those profiles. The second is consideration. Like if I get interested in a profile because of the headline or the picture or information on that profile, I'm going to click on it, right? And when I'm clicking on it, I really see the full profile of that person, right? And when I see the full profile, then I make a decision. The decision is, should I engage with this person? Which means, should I connect with this person? Should I send this person a message? Or go back to my list and, search for other people. But that's pretty much what they're doing right now. They're coming in, searching, reviewing, clicking on a profile, and then deciding whether they want to engage or not, right? And so that's what your target audience is doing. And that's like a funnel, because the awareness is like, are you aware of all these profiles? Within that, if the profile is interesting, then those are considered. And then if that profile is really good, then I will make a decision whether I want to engage with that person or not, connect or send a message, right? So what does this mean for you? This means that we, all of us together, need to have a better strategy to connect with our target audience, right? So we should have a brand so that when people become aware of us, that they click. Then we should have a strategy within our profile that convinces people. So when they're looking at our profile, they'll not only consider us, but they'll actually make a decision. And the decision is to engage with us, which is engagement could be add as a connection or send a message, right? So those type of things. So that converts them over, right? So that's the funnel. That's the invisible funnel. So if the target audience is becoming aware, they're considering and they're making a decision, then we should be having a really good brand on LinkedIn. We should have a strategy on our page, and then we should have enough engagement on it, enough convincing information on it so that they engage with us, right? So we will touch upon some of this because we don't have like the luxury of time. So I would love to, take your questions as we go through this. But what I'll do is maybe touch on the brand aspect, like how do you build on the brand, and then we can chat some more maybe later on as well. Okay. All right. So we're gonna touch upon brand. So let's do some Q&A before we dive into the brand situation. When we think about, okay, let me ask this question that one of my mentors asks me all the time. He says, Abhijit, what is the sound of a one-handed clap? Okay. What is the sound of a one-handed clap? So let me pause here and see if there's an answer or answers. Okay. The sound, there is no sound of a one-handed clap, right? Because clapping with one hand doesn't work. And the reason I'm talking about that is because a lot of times people get onto LinkedIn that are all about themselves, right? Which is, hey, I am product manager, blah, blah, blah. And I am all about this. I'm doing so many cool things, this, that, and the other. I'm like a really smart person. Like it's all about them, right? And that's the one hand. But the other hand has to be there for that clap to work. And the other hand is the value, right? So it's less about who you are and what you do and all of that, but more about the value that you bring to the table. What value are you creating for your customers, or what value are you creating for your stakeholders or your company or your teams or your organization or whatever it is, right? Or your community. That value is so important, right? So when we are on LinkedIn, remember this two-handed clap. Yes, it's important to tell our story, like who we are, that's our brand, but the brand needs to have the value equation with it. And so think about, what value do I want to share with others? Like, what do I do for others? How do I create value for others? For example, if I'm a product manager, I could say, hey, I create products that makes my customers' life easier. And it could be, I help process financial transactions faster, or it could be their service tickets are routed faster, or like whatever domain industry you're in, think about the value, right? So as we get into the profile, it's important to think about value rather than sort of just being about us. Is that making sense? Is that helpful? Is that clear? If you think it is, then give me a thumbs up on the chat, um, uh, or just say yes. Oh, PT, thank you. You had answered that. Sorry, I was not on the chat area. So let me know if it makes sense on the value part. Just say yes or no, or maybe on the Zoom group chat. Yep. Jeff says there has to be value for someone to want to engage with me. Absolutely. And that's why sharing the value that you bring to the table as part of your LinkedIn profile is so important. And that's why a lot of people miss out. They may have a great looking profile. Their profile looks really clean and nice. They got a great picture, etc. But it may be lacking value. And so make sure you're focusing on value so that people are interested in clicking on your profile, connecting with you. Himanshu says, yes, it makes sense. Value is what defines a person on LinkedIn. I totally agree. And so think about how can I demonstrate value? How can I show that I'm helping others? And those others, maybe I'm helping customers, I'm helping partners, I'm helping the ecosystem, I'm helping my org, my team, right? You get the idea. Okay. All right, let's get into LinkedIn profile, okay? LinkedIn profile, which is the brand, right? That's very important because when people search, they are looking at search results and your profile shows up in the search result. So what do people see when they're looking at your profile? They definitely see the profile picture, which basically tells people, who are you, right? It's like the who. The headline, which is sort of the first thing that people see when they search, is what do you do, right? And when they either when they sort of click into your profile, they look at your cover photo, which is like the banner. I don't know if you've seen your LinkedIn profile recently. You may already know this, which is like behind your profile picture, there's like a big rectangular banner, right? That's the cover photo for your LinkedIn profile. That is used to validate your headline or expertise. So for example, if your headline says, I'm a badass product manager, then the cover photo in the back should say why, or should basically substantiate, should provide data. Maybe it could be the brands that you work for or the work that you've done in particular domains, etc. And we'll talk a little bit about how do you manage your cover photo. But those are the three things to build your brand on LinkedIn. And brand is just remember, it's the top of the funnel, right? So it's just making people aware, right? And then comes the strategy piece, the convincing, and then engagement, right? Okay. So let's talk about how do you build a brand. Let's talk about each of these things, right? So profile picture, super important, very important. I know it's perception, but a lot of times perception matters, and especially when people are short on time, they're just searching online on LinkedIn, then this perception becomes uber important. The the way to go about your profile pic is making sure that it's professional. Make sure it's a professional picture, right? Get a buddy or someone you know, or hire a professional photographer and get your picture taken. It's going to cost you a couple of $100, so be it. It's investment that's going to pay you. I would say that it definitely would add zeros to the money you're going to spend on that professional picture. Let me just put it that way. Okay. And of course, since you're shooting it professionally, it's, should have nice lighting, and hopefully you're smiling. People don't want to see people that are sad or angry and things like that. Make that a low tone background. I like grays. I like white. I like sort of the lighter colors so that you basically pop in that picture. Or you can have a white background. That is also popular these days. If you have an existing picture and if you want to just sort of remove the background, you can go to remove.bg. Yeah, it's a legit website. So you can go to remove.bg and then upload your picture, and you can just sort of erase the background, and your profile picture is basically is white with no background. So you can do that with your existing profile. But it's super important. I know it kind of sounds interesting, which is you should have a great professional picture. The LinkedIn is absolutely true. On other social media platforms, whether in Twitter, Facebook, or others, or TikTok, God forbid, you may get away with any kind of picture, but on LinkedIn, you need to have a professional picture. Okay, I think I beat that one pretty hard. So let's go to the next one. Let's work on your headline. And so this is the part where I usually sort of get into some hands-on work, but let me just share 2 templates with you that you can use. Any of these templates would be useful for you to build out your own. So we may not have time today to actually build out your profile, but let me just share those templates, okay? I'll share those. So there are 2 templates for headlines, okay? One is, I am title, what's your title, at a company, that's the company name. I help target audience, whoever your customers or stakeholders are. I help target audience with this expertise. That's your domain, that's your USP, that's your expertise, right? That's one template for headline. The other template for headline is you can do title, like product manager at company. Then you have a pipe, and I don't know if you've seen the pipe, but it's basically it's like shift backslash on my keyboard. On your keyboard it might be different, but if you add those pipes, it could be title, then what you do, then another pipe, what you do. So you can have, since you may be doing multiple things, you can add those things and sort of do that pipe, and that also works really well. The point is, you are trying to show the person who's searching that this is your expertise, this is what you're about, right? You're trying to convince that person to click on your profile, right? So for example, in the first one, you could say, I'm a product manager at X company. I help healthcare companies with security or software security. I mean, that could be one example. Another one could be sort of just below. We can just take the same example. I would say product manager at company name, pipe, healthcare technology, pipe, security, right? Let me pause there because that's an important one. So let me pause there and see if you guys have any comments or questions. Feel free to unmute yourself or use the group chat to put in your comments or questions if those headlines make sense. So I'm gonna look for your comments.
Abhijit, this is Francis here. I am a violent in agreement with this perspective, because I've seen profiles which go something exactly like this: badass product manager. And when I read titles like that, I really don't know what badass product manager means. Right? So having that second sentence there, which says specific, targeted, unique value proposition, I think that's very impactful, right? It's very outcome oriented. And I think I might have the same mistake on my profile. So I'm going to correct myself. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And we all learn, right? I've learned so much. I should have maybe done a sort of a time lapse capture of my LinkedIn profile. It was horrible.
Yeah, one of the common headlines I've seen is product management leader. And when I see that, I'm like, everybody is a leader. So who are the followers here, right? So anyway, so please continue.
That is so true. That is so true. Yeah. Um, I think one of the other things is we try to be broad and general versus being specific. Sometimes it's okay to do that, but I think when you want to show your expertise, sometimes that helps to have that specificity about what you do, right? So that is very helpful. So others, comments, questions?
Yeah, Abhijit, I have a question. You know, the second part after the comma, I help target audience with domain. I put that in my summary under the headline. Isn't that fine? I mean, my title is just technical marketing. I didn't even put, you know, technical marketing manager or specialist. I mean, I just wanted to leave it open. And then my in my summary, I think I put creating content that accelerates sales and customer adoption of technology solutions. And then I list, you know, some of my domain experience, and then a link to my um, content portfolio. But I have that in the summary, and that's all I have in the summary. So I mean, is that not accomplishing effectively the same thing?
Yeah, once the information goes into the description area, then it is one click away for the person who's searching, right? So that unless that person clicks on your profile, he or she is not going to find out that your description contains that information. So even though you've showed up in the search results, which is half the battle, right? And you successfully done that, that person may or may not click on your profile because she may not see that that thing exists, like the technical marketing piece or the adoption, the technology adoption for customers. Those things may or may not, she may not be aware of that. So I think it's our solemn duty to help the searcher understand that I am the answer, what you're looking for, right? That's what we're trying to do on LinkedIn, that we're saying, I am the answer. I am the solution to your problem. And so based on what you just told me, I would suggest use the one at the bottom, right? So you can say technical marketing pipe, maybe you can say the type of customers you work with, maybe software companies or whatever those might be, or, you know, software as a service, or I think kind of figuring out those things would help to get more profile hits. And what I've also done, and this is another hack you could do, is I may come up with 2 or 3 different options. And if I don't feel strongly about going with either one of those, or if I feel strongly about all of them, then I would test it. I would run one option for 1 week and see if I'm getting better hits on my profile versus another one. So I would test it out. Okay. All right. Himanshu has a text on chat. He said, I want to upgrade my professional, I'm assuming, profile from UX to innovation consultant or leader director. So I have listed systems thinker, product service system IoT, systemic design. Yeah, I think this is good, but it may be a little too long. You may want to get focus on who you truly are, like what is the core of what you do. So you're heading in the right direction. I would just enhance it and clean it up a little bit. Okay. All right. Good interaction, guys. Thank you. All right. The next one is what we just talked about, which is, sales lead at Initech. I help SaaS companies to secure their applications, or I could say sales leader, security, cloud and SaaS. I have a trivia question. I don't know if you guys watch movies. Have you guys heard of a company called Initech in any of the movies that you've seen? This is a movie that was, I believe, late 90s. So I'm kind of dating myself, but.
Is this Office Space?
Oh, Office Space. That's right. Yeah, Matrix, close. Yes, Office Space. One of my all-time favorite movies. I'm sure yours as well.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
All right. So that's how we do it, guys. So that's how we put a headline together. All right. So let's go to the next part of branding, which is cover photo. So this is validating your headline, right? So if someone says, Francis, to take the example that you were referring to, like people put up product management leader, and if their cover photo is just like a design or like a mountaintop or like something, then it's like, okay, I don't know if that person is really a leader. I cannot tell. But if you have a picture of you speaking, like you're speaking publicly, or you're presenting something, or you have a bunch of logos of the companies that you work for, or the bunch of logos of customers, you could do that too. Or you get a quote from a customer that says, oh, Jeff or PT or Himanshu, you rocked my, transaction system, blah, 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 whatever, right? So you could put a quote there, right? I would say at the minimum, you should do that. At the minimum, you should validate your headline. Let's say your headline is technical marketing. Then your the cover photo behind should substantiate, should provide data that you are a great technical marketing person, right? The pro tip here, the professional tip, is you can add a CTA to the headline. And I think, Jeff, you might know, since you're in marketing, CTA is basically call to action, right? So what action would you like that person to take, right? For example, should that person write you an email? Should that person visit a website? Should that person connect with you? Or whatever it is, right? Many people put their email addresses on that cover photo as well. So, I would definitely recommend putting more visual, bunch of logos or a picture of you speaking or customer quotes, add a CTA that will make your headline. Here's the easiest way to create your cover photo. Okay. Now, obviously I can't do that. It's not a workshop, and this is a workshop that I usually run. But this is just an example that you can go to canva.com. When you go to canva.com, it's free. You can sign up with your Google, Facebook account, etc. When you go to the search bar, type LinkedIn banner, okay, on canva.com. When you type in LinkedIn banner, it will automatically give you a search result. Just use that, and it'll show you templates. And those templates are in exactly the same size that LinkedIn wants. So you don't need to do any editing, cutting, this, that, and the other. Just design a really beautiful cover photo using canva.com. And then once you're done with that, you can just download it and just put it up on LinkedIn, and voila, you have a really good cover photo. And yeah, you don't need to pay Canva for downloading either, right? So that's how you develop your cover photo, okay? So go to canva.com, put up your picture, whether you're speaking or picture that represents your work, add a company or customer logo, add a customer quote. You can add a CTA, your email address, what have you. If you guys are looking for a job or what have you, I think it's really good to put in your email address in that picture, because then people can say, oh, really smart person, I really want to connect with this person. But then if your email is there, guess what? They'll like instantly send you an email. That's way faster than that person connecting on LinkedIn, you accepting that connection, then that person sending you a direct message. You look up that message, responding, maybe a couple of days are lost. In job hunting, days lost is like light years, right? So put your email in there. Your job search will go way faster, okay? So that's how you use Canva.com to prepare a cover photo. And because of that, we just went through profile picture, we just created your headline, and we just talked about creating your cover photo. That's branding. You have taken a major step to improve your LinkedIn profile, okay? And now, I would love to go to Q&A, but I do want to share one thing with you. I just wrote the book called Unlock. And it was released on Sunday, and it's already, the Amazon recommends it as #1 career guide on new releases. The Kindle, what is that? Kindle edition. The price is $9.99. But today, if you go today, and probably tomorrow morning, it's for 99 cents only. Okay, so it's a crazy deal that the publisher is running. So it's 99 cents. And please not just buy for yourself. I think you should just get one, but make sure you also buy copies for friends, because tomorrow when the price just goes to $10, you can give these out as gifts, as thank you gifts to people you really care about. And this makes a really meaningful gift for them. So I would highly encourage that you buy a bunch of copies. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing, and I'll give the baton to Francis, and then we'll get into some Q&A. Okay.
So thank you, Abhijit. Right off the bat, what I'm going to say is I'm going to buy these 5 people who joined. I think a couple of more joined and couldn't continue. I'm going to buy you the free version of this book and send it to you guys. So, get your Kindle ready to see Abhijit's book. So thank you for attending.
Yeah,
so
Francis, I'm sure everybody knows this, but you don't need to have a Kindle device to read a Kindle book. You can, any iOS, Android device has an app. I'm sure you already knew that, but I just want to throw it in there. Sorry, Francis, please go.
No, thank you. Yeah, it just shows I don't have a Kindle. So,
my Kindle is somewhere, I don't even remember. So yeah,
it's stuck in some couch somewhere. Anyway, so I'll send you guys the free version of this. Thank you for joining. So I'm also gonna collect the recording of this presentation and send it to the whole group, so that there are some really strong tools and tips that Abhijit put across. Do follow them. And I, for one, am a good recipient of following some of these tips that I've read before, especially the ones about the banner, the headline, the picture, how you project yourself. All of it matters, because like he mentioned, this is like the largest professional network ever invented, to be honest, right? So I've seen its growth in the last 16, 17 years. And so we should absolutely exploit it for our own career growth. So at this point, I'll stop, and we can open up for questions, and Abhijit will entertain them. And then we're coming to the end. And then, like I said, I'll send across this whole package to the whole team. Thank you, guys.
it's okay. Not everybody at once.
Did we exhaust all our questions, Jeff, Himanshu?
Actually, I have a question. So if I take that information out of my summary, what do I put in my summary instead? I know that wasn't your agenda. You just were talking about the picture and the headline and the background.
Okay. Let me see if I can give you an example. What I was referring to earlier was make sure your strong keywords are in the headline.
Okay.
Right. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
If your headline has those strong keywords, you're in. People will click on your profile.
Got it.
So Abhijit has a question. What is that? How do you highlight the entrepreneur years of experience in the profile?
Say that one more time.
So what is he asking? He's asking, Abhijit, how do you highlight the entrepreneur years of experience in the profile? So I think what he's saying is his company is probably not established, well known, but he is out there doing things. And so he wants to be known for his entrepreneurial activities, and how does he brand that?
I see. So maybe you're like building a product or basically looking for customers, and how do you brand that? I think that, well, you should say you're an entrepreneur or a founder, etc. That's a good branding. And you are, I'm assuming you're in Silicon Valley, and or at least exposed to Silicon Valley. And as we all know, Silicon Valley is one of the most forgiving places, whether you succeed or fail. Failure is actually a badge of honor in like the area we are, so it's actually fine. And so I know many friends that who spend years, right, working on their product and pivoting, and then eventually, yes, they were successful, but showing those years, it's okay, because companies also look to hire entrepreneurs, or customers look to basically buying technology and products from entrepreneurs because they know that they are problem solvers, right? So I think making sure that you are showing yourself and branding yourself as a founder is important. Show that you're creating value for others. Remember the one hand clap. And also make sure you show yourself as a problem solver. For example, let's say you're building a product in X, Y, or Z space. Let's say you cannot talk about your product because you got some really secret sauce and really secret IP. Then at least talk about the problem. You can definitely talk about the problem, or invite customers in your target area or target market to talk to them. Just record your conversations on video and put them on LinkedIn with permission, of course, or put them as a podcast, or just write a blog based on what you're hearing from customers. In fact, everybody wants to be on LinkedIn. Everybody wants to have their picture taken or have their video on LinkedIn. Your customers might actually like it. They might actually say, you know what, I'll be on video with you.
So he had a caveat to that question, and that's how it came across. But I think you did answer how to brand that experience.
Yeah.
He was an entrepreneur, but he's now looking for a job, and he has this, challenge in front of him, how to brand it. And you did answer that,
Yeah.
So
every company wants to hire entrepreneurs, 100%, because the companies that are, let's say, many years old, they've kind of lost their edge, right? So they want entrepreneurs to sort of bring that energy back into the company. You might actually get a better job than you would have otherwise if you're not an entrepreneur.
That was a really good question. Any
Yeah.
other questions? You're welcome. If we do not have any other questions, I think we can call it a day. I'll put together this whole package for each member of the group and also for the folks who joined today. I know this is a crazy time where you get thousands of webinar interests, emails and invitations, and you don't know which ones to attend. I know it's also a crazy time on the groups because we have like 500 templates and 300 frameworks and 400 structures to follow to attend interviews. So it's really quote unquote chaotic, right? It's anarchic in a way, right? Both outside and inside. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, so I'll put all of this together in a package and send it across to the team. Thank you, Abhijit, for that quick breeze through of how to present ourselves on LinkedIn. And I will put together, and yes, I will buy. Why don't I take it a notch further? I'll buy 20 copies of your book, and I'll push it on the team. And I will have a quiz next week to make sure everybody read it. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so again, thank you for your time. Thank you everyone who joined us. Jeff, PT, Murtaza, Himanshu, a couple other folks as well. And have a great evening, and we'll take it further from here.
Thanks, guys. All the best. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.